Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Lifestyle Mastery, and I'm excited to have Shane Ray Martin, who's a venture capitalist, who's rewriting a playbook for what investing looks like. He's an investor at B Ventures, which is first of its kind global peace VC fund that backs tech founders building solutions for both profit and peace. Welcome to the show, Shane.
Rohit, it's an honor to be here. Let's get into it.
Awesome. So you had an interesting journey, but before we talk about B Ventures, how did you get your crazy start in startups?
I basically traveled the world after my undergraduate in college. I was so fortunate to save up some money and work a couple jobs, and
Nice.
it changed my entire life. I basically got into startups because I didn't know any better. I didn't have necessarily really a direction at 20 years old. I was just trying different things. I thought I was going to be a pilot, so I went and got my commercial pilot's license, and just didn't resonate with my soul and my heart. So I basically sold everything I had, bought a car off Craigslist, a used car, and moved to San Francisco to work in tech, and the rest is history. That's how it all started.
Interesting. And how did you get to start in venture capital, and what got you interested to start there?
It's been such a roller coaster, so many ups and downs. I didn't really know what venture capital was until a couple of years ago. I thought VCs were like scary and all of them were massively rich and intimidating. And that's really just not the case. There are incredible VCs who are humble, who are wise, who operate with excellence and high integrity and serve founders exceptionally well. And I'm so fortunate to work with a team who operates like that every single day. But how I got into it was just through honestly a series of just trying different things in my 20s, starting a company, failing, doing consulting, failing, running a sales team, failing, working and closing enterprise deals with big companies, winning some, losing some. It's just been a series of experiments, and I've kind of treated things and just as kind of like an MVP and applied it to my life and just stuck with the things that really were exciting. And so if someone's struggling to figure out what direction they go, I would just say take one and see where it lands. It doesn't have to be VC; it can be anything. But I'm super fortunate. That's where I've landed today.
Got interesting. And you very interestingly mentioned that peace can be profitable. That's a bold statement, but what's a $1 billion case for peace tech?
Yeah, well, you got to stay tuned and follow B Ventures to get the answer in the coming years. As you know, in venture capital, it takes years and years and years for companies to grow until they reach a billion in valuation, or maybe not. Maybe a company that we get to work with becomes a $1 billion valuation really quickly. That's possible too. But Peace can be profitable. How can it be profitable? Number one is startups can generate revenue that companies, B2Bs buy, but also B2Gs buy who are trying to advance peace. So it's already happening. There's companies in our portfolio that are generating revenue that are profitable, and they're building for peace and for profit. So it's early days in peace tech, and a comparable could be like climate tech at its peak was like a $75 billion industry. We think in a couple of years that peace tech, why not? Why can't peace tech be a $75 billion industry too? And so this is what we're building, and it's happening. The ecosystem's growing. Investors are coming. Family offices are partnering. It's incredible, and it's a wonderful wave that we're riding. And so there are a lot of startup founders who are probably listening that their technology could be used for peace. They just don't know it. And so that happens sometimes too. I'm talking to a founder and they're like, oh yeah, our technology could actually be used to help end one of the 56 conflicts going on right now in the world. And so that's how it happens as well. So it's just in getting out there and trying things that really wonderful things can happen.
Interesting. So you mentioned that you want to help build like 100 billion or $75 billion peace tech ecosystem, but what's the first domino that needs to fall for that to be real?
Well, I actually think $100 billion is limiting. Why put a ceiling on how far peace could stretch from India to America? There shouldn't be a ceiling on it. So I just had a number on it because it to capture audiences' attention, to bring people, to make them aware of it. That's where the number comes from, and also through research and things like that. But the first domino to fall needs to be a company who is massively successful, who serves customers exceptionally well, who drives returns. I think there's something to be said about winning and success often drives change, and people want to be a part of that, and they want to celebrate that. So if piece tech companies can be started, but also built and scaled, this is the domino that needs to fall. But there are so many dominoes. It's one step at a time, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What domino do you think needs to fall too?
Yeah, no, I think that there's some conflicts in Asia and Europe. I think maybe that needs to be resolved, but maybe we're going through a lot of political arena. But there's such an interesting space. But lot of VCs chase fintech or AI, especially, or consumer for that matter. So what's the toughest sell when you're pitching LPs on P's as an investable category?
Yeah, amazing question. Brian Abrams, he's the founder and managing partner at B Ventures. He's really the one who is like the driving force, the spark for this ecosystem. He's an
Right.
incredible human. He and I often talk about how the Peace Tech pitch per se will resonate deeply, like super deeply with like 1 in 5 people. And then the other 4 out of 5 people, maybe not. It just doesn't really hit so much. And I think that's perfectly okay. But that one person, Rohit, that one person that it really resonates with, they're all in. They join the community. They're on the WhatsApp group. They're investing in companies. They're becoming an angel investor. Their family offices is gets the idea, is investing. So it's that 1 in 5, and that's perfectly okay. Maybe over the years, after we, to your point, that first domino falls, maybe it becomes 2 in 5, 3 in 5. Get it? We're heading there, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. We just can't stop. We can just not stop taking our foot off the gas. We can't stop taking steps forward towards peace, and towards ending these conflicts, and at least innovating to help maybe reduce the harm of some of these conflicts.
Correct. And Shane, you talked about you being an operator and a founder, and you've also reviewed tens and thousands of startup pitches. So what's a most common mistake that founders make in their first pitch?
Oh man, I get sent like so many decks, which is so cool. I try to respond to everyone every single day. In fact, I just got a response the other day of they were shocked that I responded. I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna respond. And sometimes I'll send voice notes back to founders and keep the dialogue going. So, man, there's so many mistakes, and I know because I was a founder, I've made those mistakes. One of them that's sort of close to my heart right now: reaching out too early before you have traction. Like, I know there are pre-seed funds and and we've invested in a couple deals that were pre-seed, but those are under super unique, significant circumstances. Like, rather than go give away, equity of your company, go get some customers first. Like, go build something that someone buys and validates before you go to investors, because then when you go to investors and you say, hey, Mr. Rohit, Mr. Big VC, listen, I've got 3 customers. They're all paying, $100,000, and I can't fulfill more orders unless I get your investment, which I think we can get to 10 customers in the next 6 months. That's a really compelling sales pitch versus like, yeah, hey, we're pre-revenue, pre-traction, but we've got this awesome idea. It's like everyone's got ideas, but not everyone's got customers. And I want to change that. I want to help founders get more customers. I've been in the trenches. I always want to be in the trenches. This is what I'm doing every single day. And we've built out processes, steps, tactics, questions to ask to help founders accelerate that pilot process. That way they can get some customers. So yeah, man, my number one thing is like, go get some customers. You're not just because you need the revenue, although you probably do, but because you want to validate what you're actually building before you go and raise money.
Got it. And at B Ventures, do you value instincts, or do you focus more on traditional VC metrics, and how do you get to find a balance between the two?
Oh man, balance doesn't exist, does it? Do you think balance exists? It's so dependent. It's so dependent on the founder who you're talking to, their story, their
Yeah.
vision for the company, the timing as well is also an important factor. Um, but there's a lot of value in pitching and pitching and pitching over and over again because your pitch gets better and better over time. So I would actually, like, as a founder, I would make a huge list of all the investors, say it's 100 names, put them in 3 buckets, A, B, C, and start with your C's and just get reps and save your A's, your top priority ones, for the end, because by the time you get to pitch 95, you're going to know exactly what to say, when to say it, how to close it, and you're going to have great momentum. So that's like one sort of tactic and approach that I would take as a founder as well. But it's a mixture of both. I think it's a mixture of using AI agents. I'm using AI all the time. It's a mixture of human instincts as well. And this is something that Brian, I would say, is really exceptionally good at, is that human component, which is why he's been so successful. One of the reasons. So it's a little bit of both.
Got interesting. You mentioned about AI agents. I was wondering, when it comes to VC, how are you implementing AI tools and AI agents for doing that decision making and researching?
Okay, I'll give 3 specific use cases. I'll do a founder one and then maybe 2 investor ones, maybe 2 founder ones.
Sure.
So let's start with the founder one. So the founder one of the things that we're working with right now is this idea of like founders. The problem is they're not able to close deals and move deals in their pipeline to closure. So one of the things that we've done, or that we're building right now, is a series of AI agents to help them build out their sales process in real time, that customized to the specific customer who they're talking to. That way their deal doesn't take 90 days. Instead, maybe it takes 30 days. And so it helps them prepare for meetings, helps them overcome objections before they come up. It helps them come up with creative proposals that can help get the deal closed. So that's one specific example that an agent that we built can do. A second one is for investors. Let's just do 2. The second one for investors is I used to go into these conversations with family offices just like winging it, sort of bringing high energy, asking lots of questions, providing high level information on the fund. And what happened is with some family offices that would really hit. Some family offices, it would just go right over their heads. They wouldn't even be interested. And it's because I wasn't researching who they really were. So there's a great tool called Crystal Knows that I use before meeting with family offices, and it'll give me exactly a rundown of their personality type and how to pitch them. Are they detail oriented? Do they like numbers? Are they more high level like me and fast paced, or do they like to go slower? And so I adjust my pitch to who I'm talking to. That way I can not manipulate but positively influence and speak their language. And so those are 2 use cases. On the founder side, we can accelerate your sales process. On the investor side, I use them to prepare for meetings to make them more proficient, more tailored and thoughtful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love those ideas. I've made a note of Crystal Notes. I'm going to have a look at it later on. Shane, you've been recognized as a rising star in VC. What's the one way you would want to change the industry from the inside out? Especially since I've seen the last 2 years, venture capital has changed so much than what it was 10 years from now.
Change the venture capital industry. When you said that, the first thing that comes to mind is like all the founders or former founders who are wanting to like break into the venture capital industry. Man, my number one thing to change it would be to like, instead of applying for a job posting that's online for a VC fund, or even if you're applying for a startup, like just go start doing the job before you have it. Like in the evenings, hustle it out. Like go start doing the job. Go find deals for VCs who you love to work with and are passionate about, and go provide value for people and don't ask for anything. This is how I've gotten the last 2 jobs that I've had that have been amazing. Is like I find good people and I go help them and serve them, and hopefully you can solve some of their problems, and then what happens is like things sort of unravel naturally from there. So if I had to change the VC industry, I wish it was a little bit easier to break into, but it's because a lot of people take the wrong path. They apply for jobs that go into this ether of like 500 applications that never get read. And instead, just go do the job. Go find deals for you to invest in. Go find Go build some AI agents to help out an investor. Like you could do this literally in an afternoon. That's what I started doing, and I don't think a lot of people do that. They reach out, but then nothing happens. And so it's those who take action that the future belongs to, in my view.
Interesting. And have you ever had a deal which, somehow did not really work out? A bet that looked brilliant, but was somehow it didn't really pan out. And what did you learn from that deal?
Yeah, there was a deal several years ago that I was working with. I was selling into Microsoft an enterprise deal, and they hadn't been an enterprise customer at the company I was at the time yet. So this was a big deal, and one of the things that I thought was going to be amazing, I thought it was going to be this, multi-million-dollar deal, enterprise. I was going to change the company's history forever. And so I galvanized the team. And it turns out that it was actually only like a 70K deal, 75K deal. And that's okay on enterprise deals. What happens is like you start with you got to get your foot in the door at these big companies. If you're a founder selling to these big companies, like it's okay to say yes to the 50K deal or the 100K deal at first, because once you get a chance to prove yourself and solve problems, then it can become a $2 million, $3 million deal. So I thought, like, in my mind I was going to have this incredible huge deal, but in reality, like, actually became a lot smaller, and that's okay. Like, be at peace with that. And I imagine now that account at the company has grown and grown and grown. I hope over the years, I'm sure it has, but sort of big things start small. So that was a deal that, like, I thought was going to be huge, and at the moment I thought it was bad, but it's really not. It's just about getting your foot in the door, landing and expanding. So if you're a founder selling into enterprises, man, it's okay to say yes to a 25K pilot, and then next quarter reach out and maybe do the upsell to 75K. But forget the money for a second. Just focus on the person. Focus on serving. Focus on helping, as hard as that may be, because you got to pay bills, you got to pay employees. Like, focus on serving, and the rest will take care of itself.
Got it. And Shane, you've been part of companies like Pole Everywhere, where you sold to Microsoft and some of the enterprises, right? So, and especially when it comes to sales, you have different channels. But do you think cold calling still works in 2025? Nobody wants to cold call, but does it still work, or do you think you would have AI SDRs doing all the cold calling for you?
Well, I know AI SDRs are taking over. They're doing a lot of like the research work, the BDR work, and things like that. I think that that's coming. Kind of like how I think like there's two pilots who fly the plane today, but I think one day there'll be like one pilot, because computers are just sort of making a lot of things a little bit more redundant. But cold calling, does this still work? Absolutely. If people pick up the phone, it's going to work. I think a good example is like when I was moving to Washington, D.C., I didn't have a place to stay. And so I just came into town and I just cold called every single person who I could that I knew, which wasn't very many people at the time. I cold called signs on the side of the street, and lo and behold, one of the homeowners said, "No, I don't have a spot, but I know someone who does. It's not finished yet, it's under construction, and I'll introduce you to them." They introduced me, and it was a perfect spot. It was like a dream spot, and it wasn't even on the market. And so that would have never happened if I didn't cold call. So people who say cold calling's dead are probably not making any cold calls.
Yeah, yeah, true. And especially when it comes to founders, when they're looking to move from founder-led sales to getting the first sales rep, would you advise them to have like an account executive, or do you think they should have like a VP of sales coming in, or do you think like what Jason Lemkin said, that you should have two SDRs working with the founders? But what advice would you give to founders listening and would want to move away from the founder-led sales?
Yeah, let's break this down. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. There are so many answers to it. There are a couple of things that come to mind. Number one, there's great value actually in hiring multiple sales reps at the same time versus just one, because there will be a spirit of competitiveness, not like the like cutthroat sort of unhealthy kind, but the kind of like, oh, like I just saw Rohit make 50 calls. Oh man, I got to make 50 calls too. There's like, that's natural, and I think it can be really helpful. Being a salesperson can be really lonely if you're doing founder-led sales. Man, it can be tough. It can be tough making calls from a call room, for an hour once a day. It's like, that's brutal. You need some accountability. So I think hiring multiple salespeople, if you can, is great. And also, the cool thing about salespeople is you give them a base, half their salary, and then the other half can be, an uncapped commission. Go have fun. Go work it. Here's our ICP. Here's our pitch deck. Go build some relationships with people who could be customers. So I would hire multiple sales reps. But to answer your question about the VP versus the SDR, man, I think it just depends on the founder. I was talking to a founder last night over smoothies, and we were talking about this point exactly. And he was saying, his answer was like, he's in the defense tech space. His answer was like, basically, if the founder is a great sales leader, then don't hire a VP of sales. Go get two SDRs, and then the founder can coach them up. But if maybe they've never sold before, maybe might help to hire someone who's more of a potential to be a CRO or a sales VP, like you said. But I wouldn't really focus on titles. Like, who cares? Like, focus on the value that they bring, and like, are they a good human? Are they going to tell you the truth, or are they going to lie to you? Like, are they a person of integrity? Are they a positive person? Like, don't bring energy vampires into your company. It like takes one to like ruin everything. So like, get people who are cool, who are like, who are just like hunters. Like, you need hunters. Like, and also final thing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, is like, CEO, you're a founder, you should always be recruiting for amazing salespeople. Every single week, every conference, you should strive to meet one salesperson, because they can change your entire company in one quarter if you find the right person. And when you find them, pay them well and treat them well and set them up for success, and then get out of the way and let them cook and let them have some fun. And that's what salespeople want. They want to sort of have their own business within your business, and I think that's perfectly fine. They should be like a little mini CEO operating the sales function in your business. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think you should hire two? What do the founders that you advise and that you work with do?
Yeah, I totally agree that you should hire multiple salespeople. In fact, if you're pre-seed or seed, I think two SDRs would work. But I also like the point about the defense tech guy who, because some products you need somebody who's a little more mature and selling into enterprise, and a lot of the SDRs and who got 1 or 2 years of experience may not be able to speak to a VP of sales. So you need that sort of maturity as well. But yeah, I agree. In the initial days, maybe having 2 or 3 SDRs. Maybe Jason Lemkin was right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think creating a little competition can be healthy and make it more fun.
correct. Yeah, absolutely. And what is happening with AI agentic startups and AI startups is it's making easier for people to start things, and maybe we'll have multiple companies which are a 1 person or 10 person of team which are doing $1 billion or $100 million in revenue. But do you think we'll have fewer reps in 5 years from now?
Fewer reps, fewer sales reps, potentially. I think it depends on how well the AI agents perform. Uh, maybe, but then again, you see like a lot of engineers who are getting laid off because now
Yeah.
AI is doing coding. Will the same happen to sales? It's interesting. There's something about last night I was reading Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, and he was talking about sales and how, like, he was differentiating. If it's, I think it's chapter 11 or 12 of 0 to 1, which is an amazing book, where he talks about like how sales that are over $10 million are classified as a complex sale. Like, man, I just don't see AI agents making those deals just yet. Like, if you're
Yeah.
making a $10 million, even $1 million purchase, you're probably going to need some customizations. You're going to need to like talk to someone. But who knows? Maybe like, anything could happen with Gen Z and Gen Alpha. It could be, in 5 years, it could be a totally different world. Where we're headed. So I think so. There might be more sales reps, but the job is going to shift to something else. Something's got to give. The jobs are going to be shuffled around or moved around.
Interesting, and you interestingly pointed about software engineers, especially who have got very less experience. They're finding it difficult to get a job, right? But somebody who's listening to this podcast, and he's 18 years old, wants to do study at Caltech. Would you advise them to do a computer science degree, or would you want them to look at doing something else, maybe psychology or something?
Maybe something else. I just 2 days ago was talking on the phone to a good friend, just finished his undergrad computer science, and he double majored in music as well. And
Oh,
he's starting at Amazon, and he started as an engineer at Amazon. And what he told me at Amazon is like he's like, we're not going to have junior engineers in a couple years. Like the engineers here at Amazon are just like top notch, next level. Work ethic is insane, and they're most importantly they're good people and kind. And he was saying that like my job probably is going to be available in a couple years, like an entry level software engineer role. That's what he said. But on the startup side, it'll probably hit startups first because so much innovation is driven from startups. So I think it's up to the founders to create the future and create sort of what comes next. But we'll see. I think it's a matter of just building things and I think people were really disappointed with GPT-5. I think people were hoping for more. I don't know if you have a take on this, but GPT-5 like had this high promise and it under-delivered. So if these models don't deliver, then maybe it's further away than we think.
yeah, no, I think it's super interesting because I was listening to a podcast and I understood that the lovables and the curses are taking away that market share from WordPress, which powers around 70% of the web traffic. And same is the case with chat GPTs and perplexities. They're taking that share away from Google search. But out of, be it chat GPT or Claude, who would you bet, 5 to 10 years from now, who do you think is going to be the winner? You got Gemini, ChatGPT, Cloud, Perplexity, Grok. Who would you bet on if you want to, put in say $100,000?
Well, each model has different strengths and capabilities at the moment. Like Claude is better maybe at writing, Perplexity maybe is better at
True.
researching. So they each have like a different edge. So I think you're gonna see in the years to come each sort of their sort of focus may become more defined. But right now GPT has the most amount of users, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
and they seem to be cruising, but their valuation is so high. I also think ChatGPT could potentially be like $1 trillion company if you do the math and you math it out. Like that's
Yeah.
also likely as well, based on sort of where the valuation's at now in their last round. So I don't think that's far off. But man, if there is one, I have to go with ChatGPT just because it's what I'm using the most right now. But
True.
if let's say Claude makes huge jumps, then maybe it'll be Claude. But I'd have to say GPT. But then you think also about Meta making these like massive offers for engineers. Have you seen this where
Yeah.
they're like
True.
$100 million offers uh, for engineers? I mean, these sort of happen once in a blue moon.
True.
And I think now it just came out. Meta is like sort of freezing their hiring of engineers because they're like, oh, we just spent all this money on talent. Maybe we should like hold back for a second, which is I think kind of funny. But it's like, but it makes sense and I think it's smart. But it's yeah, it's hard to tell who's gonna win. I think it's a fight for talent. And the thing is, when
True.
it comes to talent for these roles, like they sort of go swims in pools of fish. Like the great talent goes to one company and then it goes to another company and it goes to another. Obviously, it's not always the case, but that's what I've seen, especially in startups, maybe for non-technical roles. But I assume it's the same as like people want to work with their friends, people who want to work with like people who are doing cool stuff. So
True.
we'll see. I put my 100K on GPT for now, and what would 100K get me in GPT? It would get me like 0.00001 of the company, if that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go with them.
Got it. And Shin, you've coached, more than 200 CEOs when it comes to negotiation. What's the one founder trait that wins deals even when the numbers aren't perfect?
Yeah, speak the language of the person who you're negotiating with. If they want an exit as soon as possible, make sure you weave into your pitch like, hey, we're trying to exit in 5 years minimum. Here's 3 potential acquisition targets we've already identified. Like, speak to the person, negotiate to match their style. If they're in the details and they care about numbers, give them numbers, man. If they are high level and they just want the vision and they're doing, 3 deals a month, give them the high level and share with them your big vision, and then ask for the deal. Like, that's my number one, is like, speak their language. Number two is like, you got to ask for the deal. Like, it can be as simple as like, Rohit, do you want to invest at a 10 million valuation cap or not? We're closing around here soon. We have a lot of interest. Like, not in a mean way, but like, to the founders who are trying to close deals and are frustrated, my question would be to you is, how many times in the last 30 days have you asked for a deal to close? How many times have you actually asked? And a lot of times, like, they haven't got it. And I think there's great power in asking for what you want and having the courage to do it, and also being kind to yourself in the negotiation. It can be super stressful. So, like, speak life over yourself. I'm a confident negotiator. I communicate clearly. I'm here to serve. Like, say these things and then go be them. And that alone is going to separate you when it comes to negotiation. We could go on and on and on. But I think it's more than 200 CEOs who have advised in negotiations at this point. And a lot of the things that I talk about in negotiations have come from mistakes or failures that I've made, that I have figured out how to overcome. And that's the best way to learn in negotiations, to go try different things.
Interesting. And do you have like a negotiation story which surprised you the most, be it in business or in life?
Yeah, negotiation story, man, there's so many, so many. A negotiation story that really, really sticks with me is, I think about when I started to learn negotiation. I read this book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah, love it.
You've read it. Amazing book,
Yeah.
right? And in the book, he volunteers at a suicide hotline as he's an FBI hostage negotiator. So he volunteers, and I think he did that first. He volunteered at a suicide hotline, and then he went to work at the FBI, and he's gone on to save hundreds of lives through kidnap negotiations. But so I met Chris Voss. I read his books. I've given his books away to like so many friends, and I even volunteered at a suicide hotline. And there was one night when I was volunteering at the hotline where someone called in, and they were like on their balcony, 13 stories up. They wanted to jump out of the building. And in that moment, I was like completely frozen. My mind was just like racing. My heart was pounding. And I had to remember the amazing training that I was given, which was to slow down, acknowledge emotions, ask questions, and co-create solutions together. And so this is what I did. I slowed down. I asked this person, what led to you feeling this way? Are you able to step back while we're just having this phone call together just for 10 minutes or so? That way we can have a conversation. And she stepped back from the ledge, and we got to have a great conversation, and things like really de-escalated. And I had an amazing team supporting me on the line, so it wasn't just me, but I had support around me, which I think is so essential in negotiations. But that was one story, is like incredible transformation that happened within 10-15 minutes of talking to this person, simply by just letting them know that I was there for them, showing them that I cared, and then asking questions that helped them arrive to the conclusion that they wanted to live again. And the same thing can be applied as a founder looking for an investment or trying to close a deal. It's like, show them that you care, that you want to help, and then offer them an opportunity to connect and work together, and then maybe it'll happen. So yeah, that suicide hotline it changed my life for the better, and I was so fortunate to work with great people there. And that was when I was living in San Francisco. It was a great ride. So yeah, it was a good time.
No, absolutely. I love that story. And you're also writing a book about AI for negotiation, And so do you think machines will be able to out-negotiate humans in our lifetime?
I mean, they already are. I think about companies like Nibble, Pactum. There's several others who are automating negotiations, long tail spending, other types of spending, that the bots are getting better outcomes. We also did some research at American University when I was there in the MBA program, and we found like people actually like enjoy negotiating with the bot. Like, they rated that they actually had a better experience with the bot versus a human, which was interesting. So For sure, I think it's the future of negotiation. This is exactly where B Ventures is focused. Like, we want to be on the cutting edge of negotiation in AI for peace and also for profit.
Interesting. And Shin, you're a podcaster. You've written books. You're an investor, and writing is a big component to it. So what's your writing habits and what's your writing cadence where you're able to put out so much of content every week and you're writing a book also.
Oh man, I wish I could put out more content. I think I'm in the midst of sort of reinventing like what I want to push out to the world and share. And um, I try to do it in the mornings. It's wise to batch, like maybe write 3 posts and then put them in. I store them in Grammarly, and then in the morning I'll come in and paste them into LinkedIn and post them. But I think one of the things that's held me back is I think sometimes I care too much what people think about what I'm posting, and I think there's I think I wrestle with that. I think that's a normal human condition. Maybe some people don't have it, some people do. And I'm working through it. But yeah, I try to just keep things simple. Like, use a little bit of AI, but like use yourself, write it out, improve it, post it, get feedback, iterate, see what works, do more of what works. You can use Shield for analytics to see like what posts work. Um, like one of the most viral posts that I ever had was sharing that story from the suicide hotline. Um, but I think the future of content is going to be really niche based. So like find that one person who you want to speak to. In this case, like startup founders who are working on peace. Like, it's very niche, and so I can build content around them that will serve them and help them. And that's the idea. What about you for writing content? I would love to hear your stack and how you do it.
Yeah, so I try to I took this course from Nicholas Cole and Dickie Bush. They run the Ship 30. So I try to write in the morning, which is like a small essay, and especially when it comes to newsletters, I I either do a deep dive on S1 deep dives or an M&A report. So usually do it on Friday and Saturday. And then I keep my weekends for editing my podcast, and I talked about Opus clips. So that's my content strategy, and I also try to do at least 2 or 3 LinkedIn posts. So there's a lot of content going around, right? But it's during the weekends, during the evenings that I do. I work on my content thing, and during my day job, I focus on closing deals.
That's awesome. That's so good. I'm so glad you've carved out time. And there's no you have to experiment and try what times work for you. I've heard of Nikki Bush, or I've heard of this course before. It's actually quite popular, the one that you're describing.
Yes, absolutely. I think Dicky started in 2020 21, but and it's and they run this cohort few times in a year. And I've also taken the writing course, which is I think a ghost writing course. So they ask you to put in the reps, and that allowed me to write more and start my newsletter, write more content on X, on LinkedIn. And you find some of the writers, they're all over the place, and I think they've done a great job with the newsletter and with the writing. So yeah, that's interesting. And Shin, you travel to more than 50 countries. Which place most shaped your perspective on peace and conflict? You did talk about San Francisco and Washington, but was there any place where you understood about what peace and conflict means?
Yeah, right after Russia invaded Ukraine, I was in Switzerland meeting lots of
Nice.
Ukrainians who were on the front lines negotiating with Russians. The challenge was when Russia went into Ukraine, a lot of the elderly in Ukraine didn't want to leave. So a lot of these humanitarian negotiators were like negotiating with Russian soldiers to like allow the elderly to like get out, but they weren't wanting to leave because it's their home. And so that's one type of negotiation on the ground, but there's like many, many, many. And so when I went over to Geneva, Switzerland, it just blew my mind. It's like I just immediately fell in love with that city. It's so beautiful because there's people, from India, America, Germany. There are people from all over. It's truly a global city, and it felt like home to me, and I loved it so much. So that's where the United Nations is, where a lot of peace negotiations are, supposedly happening, and things like that. And so, like being able to experience that and see that and be a part of it, was just like invigorating. But also like that's fancy. Like I've also been to like, you know, some of the darkest places in the world too, and you know where there's no electricity, and you know I'm like serving in a school and or you know, doing things like that. I think it's good to mix up both. You want to be able to always stay in touch with people on the ground, but also like be able to learn how to communicate and make moves in big cities like New York City or Geneva. But yeah, Geneva is amazing. I think everyone should visit there. It's a cool spot.
Got it. And Shane, I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss. I've given away
Yeah.
like over 15 copies. Also, I read the Bible I love Proverbs. There's so many books, man. I like memoirs too. Reading about people's lives. There's so many.
Correct. We'll put down in the show notes. And you know, if you could go back in time when you started working on B Ventures, what is the one thing you would have done, or you know, anything you would have done differently?
What I would have done differently is, man, not much. I don't really have many regrets. I would say that since we're talking about content, I would say share more with the world of what you're building. Like, build in public. Like, obviously, there are legal things you don't want to, like, expose. Of course, you have to do it with discernment, but, like, people want to know the truth about what it's like building a fund and investing and building a company. So, like, share your knowledge with the world, and you never know who's reading it.
Got it. And do you have any favorite online tools, example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom, ChatGPT?
Yeah, Fixer, Fyxer. Live and breathe it. It's an amazing AI tool that basically will like listen to your conversations and then help you draft your emails right in your inbox for you. It saves me like 4 or 5 hours a week. It's incredible, and I really like it. I'm not a paid spokesperson. I just like to use the tool. It's really cool.
Got it. We'll put down the show notes. If I'm not wrong, this is a UK-based startup, right? Because I think the founders are based out of London. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
good memory. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. We'll put that in show notes. And Shane, what's the best way people can reach out to you and know more about B Ventures?
Number one, if you're a founder, let's connect on LinkedIn. Just type in Shane Ray Martin. Also, you can just email me s@bventuresgroup.com, or you can text me as well. My phone number is on my LinkedIn, so I use WhatsApp as well.
Got it. We'll put down show notes. Shane, thank you so much for taking your time speaking to us. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Yeah, likewise. Amazing questions, such great questions. And I'm rooting for you, the founder, for all the founders out there. Like, keep going, keep building, never stop.